Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Regular Beer Reviews, where regular doesn't refer to the beers being reviewed, but to the reviewer, myself. I'm Jesse, and tonight I'm going to be reviewing a beer that I have had a couple times before. This is from Goose Island. It is their IPA. Um, I did a review on the 312 Urban Wheat Ale. I believe that's the only review that I've done of a Goose Island beer. Um, it's funny. It says it's Goose on Beer Advocate and I believe Rate Beer. It said Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago, Illinois. But it says on the bottle here, brewed and bottled at Goose Island Beer Company in Baldwinsville, New York. And I've noticed that before on other Goose Island beers that I've had. It always says Baldwinsville, New York on the bottle. So I'm not sure why it says Chicago, Illinois on the website. Seems like I remember the Urban Wheat Ale. I think that's at Baldwinsville, New York too. I can't remember. I'd have to watch the video again. It's been I haven't had one of those since I did the review last. But anyway, let's go on ahead and look at the numbers on this. Beer Advocate gives it an 85, which is very good, and that's with 2,565 ratings. Rate Beer gives it a 95 overall with a 92 for the style, and the Bros give it an 86, which is very good. It has an ABV of 5.9%, a year-round availability. The style is an English style IPA, and it has 55 IBUs. Here is a quick descript from Rate Beer. It says, our IPA recalls a time when ales shipped from England to India were highly hopped to preserve their distinct taste during the long journey. The results, quite simply, a hop lover's dream, and this classic ale adds fruity aroma set off by a dry malt middle to ensure that the long hop finish is one you'll remember. And it says on the bottle here, recognized as among the world's finest, Goose Island's India Pale Ale has a spicy hop aroma and an inviting fruity taste. This exceptional beer is one you will not soon forget. And it says again on the back, you're brewed and bottled by Goose Island Beer Company, Baldwinsville, New York. So I don't know if they moved or, I'll have to look into that. I'm sure, it seems like I remember looking up something about it before when I did the 312 Urban Wheat Ale. But I'll have to look it up because I can't remember. So anyway, let's get this cracked open and get it poured here. I do love a good IPA. I've had this beer a few times before, and I remember it as being a pretty good IPA. So let's get it poured here, and let's get an appearance on this beer. First off, I noticed that this is extremely clear for an IPA. Most IPAs are not this clear by any means. They're not quite this light. This looks like, this looks a little lighter than like a Yingling or something. This, it looks like Budweiser Black Crown or something. It's very, very light. Tons, you can see there are tons of carbonation streaming up. It has about a half finger, very frothy head, which looks to be quickly dissipating, which is surprising given the amount of carbonation that is streaming up. I'd say it's like a very light amber, maybe a gold color, kind of orangish tints to it. So, and it's extremely clear. This beer looks like it's like triple filtered or something. So, let's go on ahead and get a nose on this. Right up front. It smells very hoppy. It says it's only 55 IBUs. I have to say it definitely smells a little hoppier than that. It's like a piney hop, like more like a West Coast hop, piney, a little citrusy. Smelling a little bit of like a caramel or a toffee malt in the background there, kind of sweet. Maybe the slightest bit bready. Smelling like kind of a fruitiness there, definitely like white grapes or maybe a little apple or something. Slight spice notes, like maybe like a black pepper or something like that. Just kind of a little bit of a spiciness to it. So smells very good. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Mm, very good. It's a light mouthfeel. Just like it looks a little lighter than your average IPA. It has a little bit of a lighter mouthfeel. But a nice bitterness there. I'd say 55 IBUs. It tastes about like that. It smells a little hoppier, and it tastes. It definitely has great hop flavor, but without the like super bitterness. So that's which I love the bitterness, but it's still very enjoyable. It is it, very carbonated on the mouthfeel too, but you get that nice piney, like right up front, nice piney, citrusy hops, kind of oily, not overpoweringly bitter. I mean, you can really enjoy the flavor of the hops without getting all of that bitterness. Um, the malts are it's like a toffee or something very sweet in the background. It smells kind of a little bready, a little yeasty, the malts in the background, but it doesn't really taste that way. It's just kind of a sweet caramel malt. You know, balances really nicely with the hoppy bitterness. I really like this beer. Honestly, from the flavor and stuff, it's hard. Like, I would think that this was more like a pale ale or something, a very good pale ale, and it's a good IPA. I mean, I'm not knocking it, saying, oh, it's not quite an IPA. It's just it doesn't. Only 55 IBUs. It's not quite as bitter as I would expect the average IPA to be. I mean, but I have had other IPAs that weren't nearly as bitter as this and didn't have as much hop character, and I've had pale ales that have even more hop character and are more bitter. So I mean, I don't think there's any specific guideline set up that says you have to be this hoppy, you have to have this much bitterness in order to cross that line. But excuse me, it's a great beer. If you're wanting to get into IPAs but you don't really like the bitterness and stuff, I'd say this is definitely a great starter IPA for you. Like, if you like the hop flavor, and so you like hoppy beers but you don't like the bitterness, this is a good beer for you to really help test the waters and kind of train your palate to enjoy, because it really is an acquired taste. Hoppy beers and IPAs and pale ales and stuff. It's something that you usually have to work up to. I know I did. But this is a good beer. I like this beer. While it's not super like bitter, there's really good hop flavor there. It's a really flavorful beer. I really enjoy this beer. I think this is a good beer. Um, I think I'm going to give this beer, I'm going to give Goose Island's IPA, their India Pale Ale, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. This is a good beer. I'm going to pick it up again. If you see it, I'd recommend that you pick it up again. I mean, just look at that lacing. That is gorgeous. And for having such a thin head at the beginning, I wouldn't think that it would have lacing like this. That is absolutely gorgeous lacing. I mean, that is beautiful. I mean, look at that. You couldn't ask for better. I mean, that is gorgeous. So I really enjoy this beer. Again, 8 out of 10 for Goose Island's India Pale Ale. If you see it, pick it up. For an IPA, 5.9%. That's right about where you want it to be. Pretty moderate sessionability. I mean, you don't want to drink like 10 of these in an hour or something, because you'll definitely get too hammered. But you can have several of these over an evening, and I think still maintain a clear head. And it's certainly drinkable if you like IPAs. I mean, I think it's the best of the both worlds, because if you like the hoppy flavor, or even if you've never had an IPA but you don't want to jump into something like Dogfish Head or Stone or something like that that's just going to blow your mind. You want to start out subtly. You can start with this, and because you get that nice hop flavors without this super hoppy bitterness. And also at the other end of the spectrum, if you love hops, if you know you love hoppy beers, you'll still enjoy this. You're not going to drink it and say that's too weak for me. Excuse me, because it does have great flavor, and the bitterness is pretty moderate at 55 IBUs. But I really enjoy this beer. I think it's a good beer. I recommend that you pick it up. So once again, 8 out of 10 for Goose Island's IPA. Pick it up if you see it. I'm definitely going to pick it up again. Thank you for watching, and keep watching again in the future for more reviews. Post.